Hey there, YouTubers. We're going to look at a Makita 2705 table saw. Customer had a variety of complaints. One of the complaints was that he couldn't adjust over to 45 degrees. It wouldn't heal all the way over. He's got some parts missing that accompany that problem, but in any case, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up. Right here is where the top of this falls into. It's a little pocket there for it. That was completely loaded up with sawdust. I think you can see some sawdust in this corner here. But in any case, that was packed so tight with sawdust, and what happened was every time the guy that owns a table saw, every time that he went to heal it over, he would pack that dust in there more and more. You can also get dust packed up. That worked. Packed up inside your trunnion assembly here. So this is what allows the trunnion to move. It's a little, almost like a elbow inside of a curved dish that allows the trunnion assembly to move back and forth. It lets you heal over to 45 degrees or go back to 0 or anywhere in between. So knowing that that was a problem, I figured that the brushes could be a problem as well. And I already took this one out. We'll see if I can do this with the camera not falling over again. I already took this one out. Took a little bit of doing to get it out of there. And I don't know if you can see the buildup right here, the buildup of the lignin in the sawdust. And then on the very edge of that brush, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, there's a little bit of burning. And we have a lot of sawdust there. It's just, that's basically lignin packed on there. There's more lignin there than sawdust. So, but we can clean up that brush and it shouldn't be a problem. We're going to take out the bottom brush now. We're going to see what that looks like. Suppose we're going to take it out if I can get a screwdriver to fit in there, huh? So you don't want to just yard these brushes out of here. This one doesn't want to come out. So I'm going to move it back and forth and let all that sawdust fall out of there. There we go, almost. So there's quite a bit of lignin packed in there, I'm guessing. And you can see the lignin on the edge. You can see the burning on that edge. The face of it doesn't look too bad. Likely, if I had to, I could reuse these brushes, but they've gotten really hot. They packed that lignin on there, and a new set of brushes for this saw is, I don't know, it's $5, $12, somewhere in there. So next, I'm going to take this off, the housing for the motor, and I'm going to see how much sawdust is packed in there. The camera's right in my way, so I'm going to hit pause, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like inside there. Got the motor housing off, and I'm going to show you something here. If you ever have trouble with the screws on a Makita, they're going to look like they're Phillips, but they're not Phillips, they're JIS. That's Japanese Industrial Standard, I think is what it is. They fit, but it's not an exact fit. So if you get some JIS bits, like a 1 and 2 and 3, they're very similar to Phillips, but they're not the same. So this motor assembly is packed with sawdust. You can see that there's a whole bunch of sawdust in there, packed around the field. And let me see if I can hold this and show you this at the same time. There we go. So right in here, I'm not sure if that's sawdust or... Okay, so I can't hold that at the same time. We'll shake some of it out. There we go. So right here is some plastic, little plastic shavings. So this guy is probably cutting AZAC with his saw, which is fine. But we've got sawdust packed up in and around here. That's coming out pretty freely. Not too worried about that. we have sawdust packed inside the windings on this armature. And then the commutator bars, this is the commutator. These are the commutator bars. I see a little bit of, I don't know if that's chipping or sawdust there, that's sawdust. So I see a little bit of sawdust on this commutator bar, or on the commutator bars, but overall it looks pretty good. And I'm not feeling an edge, much of an edge right there, maybe a few thousandths. So the whole thing's in pretty good condition. So these brushes, they ride top and bottom as you're looking at it. Let me put the light on that. Brushes ride like that. So on each edge of the brush there's going to be a ridge, and then in the center you're going to have a little divot, a little valley as this turns around and the brush wears away and the copper on these commutator bars wear away. So if you take your saw this far apart, you're going to want to clean this out with compressed air. You don't want to do that in a confined space. Do it outside because it's an incredible mess. So this bearing sounds really dry to me. It's spinning a little free, and I can't do it while I hold the light, but I'll put load on here with one hand, and then I'll gently turn the armature, or I'll even turn the saw blade, and that'll let me feel if there's any bumps or hiccups in there. I don't feel any now. I'm putting some preload on it. It feels pretty good. So what I'll do is very gently I'll remove this cover. It's a seal, but it doesn't seal 100%. I'll remove that with a very sharp blade. I'll get the edge of the blade, in here between the green and the silver, and I'll very carefully pop that off, and I'll put just a little bit of grease in there. You don't want to pack these. This isn't the wheel bearing on your car. You don't want to pack it with grease, but the fact that it's spinning that free, and I can hear it, it's dry. You can probably hear that on the camera. That's a dry bearing. You don't want a dry bearing. So I might even pull this whole armature out and then see what the bearing on the front end of the armature looks like as well. And I'm going to have to refer to the schematic to see if there's a yoke holding on the end shaft of this armature. If there is an end yoke, if this is the end of the armature, my finger, there'd be a yoke, be like this. There'd be a screw in this end, screw in this end to hold it in place. So if there's not a yoke, then I'll be able to pop this out, have the armature in my hand. I'll be able to blow it off with some compressed air, get it nice and clean. I'll be able to dress these commutator bars. Let me see if I've got some sandpaper here, and I'll show you how that works. So for dressing the commutator bars, you can use sanding screen, emery cloth. Just use something that it's a very fine grit, 400 or more. You could do it in place like this, and I'm putting more pressure on the end here to take down that ridge. And if you happen to have an armature lathe, then you already know how to do this stuff. I don't have an armature lathe. So you can see that's a little bit cleaner, and I'll finish cleaning that up later. So in any case, doing the maintenance on your saw, you want to make sure, see if I can do this without the camera falling again, clean up inside here, top and bottom. And then top and bottom on this side, pay special attention on this model of saw, and a lot of saws have that little cavity in there for that thing to pivot up. And then take your brushes out very carefully, take your motor housing off, clean all this sawdust out of there. The sawdust that is packed on there like glue, that's lignin. That's a compound in the sawdust that makes maintenance on saws a lot of work. So in any case, I hope you found the video informative. Have a great night.